Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And first, I just want to start with Dr. Holdren. Dr. Holdren, we heard a little bit about scare tactics earlier, but I wasn't around in 1970 when the Clean Air Act was passed. I came on the scene about 10 years later. But when the Clean Air Act was passed, everything I've read was that there were a number of scare tactics from industry around what it would do to our economy. Do you remember that?
I do.
And
I do.
And one of the scare tactics was that we would see our economy, rather than move forward, that the economy would move backwards. Do you remember that?
I do.
And isn't it true that, in fact, our economy has tripled in size since the Clean Air Act was passed in 1970?
I think that's roughly right. I'd have to double-check the figure.
And isn't it true that pollutants have been reduced by 70% since the Clean Air Act was passed in 1970?
At least many of the important ones have.
Okay. Did you read the New York Times story over the weekend on Germany's solar and wind investments?
I did.
Do you believe that the United States is any less capable than Germany in making investments in solar and wind? And what would it mean for reducing carbon emissions if we made investments that would have us have 30% of our energy supplied by renewables, as Germany is on track to do by the end of the year?
We are not technically less capable. We may be politically less capable of taking the necessary decisions.
And what would it do for our climate action plan if, over the next 15 years, we achieved what Germany is going to achieve by the end of this year, which is having 30% of its energy provided by renewables?
It would obviously be a great help.
Okay. And Ms. McCabe, do you have any thoughts on that?
No, I would just confirm that we think increased use of renewable energy is going to be a key portion of states' plans that they can choose to develop. Great. So I'd agree.
Also, Dr. Holdren, many have mentioned that even if we do something, that other countries, some of the bigger countries, China and India, if they do nothing, that our efforts could be negligible. However, don't we have some recourse to enforce or require other countries to take action? For example, can't nations that are not being responsible in addressing this global threat be slapped with a WTO complaint tariff?
Let me say that at this point I don't...
Sorry, a WTO compliant tariff?
I think at this point we don't need to talk about recourse, because the fact is that both China and India, the second and third biggest emitters in the world, are both taking far more action than most Americans realize. The Chinese, in their 12th five-year plan, put a target for reducing the percentage, a target for increasing the percentage of non-fossil fuel in primary energy consumption. We, by the way, have not done that. We don't have a non-carbon or low-carbon energy standard. China has set specific national targets for the expansion of nuclear, wind, solar, and natural gas. They have a carbon intensity target, which they are on track to meet. They have minimum energy efficiency standards across a wide range of appliances and vehicles.
And Dr.
they've been shutting down their old coal-burning power plants.
I appreciate you bringing that up,
more efficient ones.
I want to put into the record, if it's okay with the Chair, two stories that back up what Dr. Holdren is saying. One, a September 12, 2014 story, China aims high for carbon market by 2020, and also a May 7, 2014 story, India goes green, drafts policy to lower carbon emissions.
Without objection, those two articles we made part of the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I think the question that we are tasked with today is do something or do nothing. And as far as I'm concerned, plan always beats no plan, especially when the stakes are so high. And so I guess I would challenge my colleagues on the other side, if they want to do nothing, why don't we go ahead and build a do-nothing climate wall? We can put it somewhere out on the Washington Mall, and we can put all the names of the people who think that we should do nothing. And then in 100 years, we can let our children and grandchildren go to that wall and see who wanted to do nothing and who wanted to do something. And I hope we did something, and we will let history be the judge of what happens next. And I yield back the balance of my time.